unlock the secret power of influencers in this podcast. In this episode, we're going to dive into how pharmaceutical and medical device companies can leverage influencers and key opinion leaders, distinguishing between both of them, and identify how to amplify your message while staying compliant. If you like this type of content, please like, subscribe, share. It really helps the channel. Pharmaceutical and medical device companies must reach their target audiences while effectively complying with strict regulatory requirements. With the rise of digital marketing, two powerful strategies have emerged: influencers and key opinion leaders as spokespeople. So these strategies can significantly enhance brand visibility, build trust, and influence purchasing decisions. However, each comes with unique challenges that marketers, regulatory professionals, and life science attorneys must navigate carefully. So we are going to talk about the benefits and risks associated with each, and we'll explore what this means for marketers, regulatory professionals, life sciences attorneys, and why you should reach out to the Kulkarni Law Firm to help. So let's start by defining these two terms. Influencers are individuals with significant followings on social media who can sway public opinion, drive engagement, and promote products or services. Now remember, this sounds great in concept, but there seems to be a change going on. Some people argue that influencers are not as useful as they used to be. If you listen to Gary Vee, who's one of the people out there, he will say that it's better to go to influencers who have micro niches as opposed to going to influencers who have massive niches. So go to maybe the 10,000 influencer followings versus the 50,000, 500,000, 5 million followers. Again, they engage with their audience, create a personal connection that brands can leverage to reach specific demographics. On the other hand, key opinion leaders, KOLs, are recognized experts in their field. They're often physicians, researchers, or academics, and they've earned the trust and respect of their peers and the public. They typically provide authoritative opinions as opposed to like that personal connection we're talking about, and they can endorse products based on scientific evidence and influence the adoption of new therapies or devices. Now, there are individuals who may actually be able to do both, and the question that you have to answer is, what are you hiring this individual for? So let's compare each of them. In the case of influencers and KOLs, audience reach and engagement is important. Influencers will typically have a broader and more diverse audience, and they'll reach a younger demographic who are highly active on social media like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Again, their content is engaging, it's relatable, and is designed to spark conversations amongst followers. KOLs have a more targeted and specialized audience, primarily consisting in this case of healthcare professionals, policymakers, and patients seeking expert advice. Their reach is typically smaller, but is highly influential within their specific niches. Then you have content creation and messaging. For influencers, they have creative freedom. They often produce visually appealing and engaging content that resonates with their followers. However, this can be a risk if this messaging does not align with the regulatory requirements or brand guidelines. KOLs, on the other hand, they are evidence-based, focusing on the scientific merits of a product or therapy, but it tends to be more conservative and it's aligned with industry standards, reducing the risk of non-compliance. Let's be honest, KOLs can be boring. In this trust and credibility, while influencers can build strong connections with their audience, their credibility can be questioned if they endorse products outside their expertise, or they fail to disclose sponsorships adequately. Now, there's the FTC requirements that actually come in and talk about how to do influential engaging, and the FTC has certain disclosures that you have to make. FDA, by the way, also has similar requirements as well. KOLs actually have a higher level of trust, as we mentioned. KOLs, again, they face regulatory scrutiny and they have a deeper understanding of the industry, which results in more compliant messaging. However, again, financial relationships must be disclosed. KOLs, again, have more to lose as well. So it's not just an audience, but they also have their license to lose. That's their means of livelihood, and that becomes a huge issue as well. Don't get me wrong, influencers can be looking at this as their livelihood as well, so that makes sense. So let's talk about the best practices for marketers and regulatory professionals in selecting the right partner. Choose an influencer whose audience aligns with your target demographic. They must have a track record of creating compliant content. They must have a clear understanding of why it's important to adhere to regulatory requirements. On the other hand, KOLs, they typically are respected within their field. They have experience in public speaking or content creation. And again, their endorsement should be based on the genuine belief in the product's efficacy and safety. Vetting and training. Conduct thorough background checks on both influencers and KOLs to identify potential red flags. There have been issues where companies show someone
and the person turned out to have a torrid pass of some kind. Then make sure that you provide comprehensive training, record that training, and then emphasize the importance of accurate and compliant messaging. Contractual agreements. In both cases, make sure that you have detailed contracts that outline the scope of work, content expectations, compliance requirements, and disclosure obligations. Ensure that influencers and KOLs understand the consequences of non-compliance and have a clear process for content review and approval. Now, you will see this, especially in the context of like PR, where influencers are being used and they're making claims, and then you may have to go in and actually fix claims that were made. Kim Kardashian was a great example of that. The content, the message went out, but it turned out to be non-compliant, and the FDA actually came down hard on it. Remember, the FDA is actually looking quite closely at the use of influencers and KOLs. Content monitoring and management is also important. Regularly monitor content created by the influencers and KOLs to ensure that it meets regulatory standards. Consider using editorial calendars and content management systems, track deliverables and timelines. Again, be prepared to take corrective actions like we talked about if any content is found to be non-compliant. And again, this is standard for when you're working with any kind of digital marketing medium. Have clear metrics for evaluating the efficacy and the effectiveness of the influencers and the KOL campaigns. Monitor engagement rates, sentiment analysis, and conversion rates to assess the impact on brand awareness and product adoption. So what does it mean for life sciences attorneys, for example? Again, you must be vigilant in reviewing the contracts, advise on disclosure obligations, monitor content for potential legal issues. You may want to be there on site when these evaluations, when the shooting is taking place. Given the complexity of these campaigns, work closely with marketing and regulatory teams to mitigate risks and protect the company's interests. Feel free to reach out to us at the Kulkarni Law Firm. We help legal counsel comply with these varying requirements. We can help you with your influencer and KOL campaigns. We actually did a podcast on this previously. We linked to that as well. We have attorneys who can help you develop robust challenges that maximize the benefits of these marketing tactics while minimizing legal risks. Look forward to reaching out to you. Look forward to talking to you.
If you need help, call me at 302-252-6959.